If you do not possess a millionaire mind, you could be handed 10 fortunes and still die broke. But if you possess it, you could lose everything and still build it again. The man who earns riches by law keeps them. The man who stumbles into them by chance loses them. Which one will you be? This is not a speech for those who wish. This is for those who will. You must not only think like a millionaire, you must begin to act like one, and you must begin now. Do not listen with curiosity. Listen with commitment. If you hear this through, speak these truths aloud. Write your definite aim and obey these laws daily. Poverty will no longer belong to you. Wealth does not begin with money. It does not begin with inheritance. It does not begin with opportunity. Wealth begins with a state of mind. And unless that state of mind is fixed, trained, and directed with purpose, no amount of income, inheritance, or good fortune will keep a man from returning to the poverty he has accepted in his thoughts. If you would become a true millionaire, not a man who simply touches money, but one who commands it, you must first possess the mental pattern of riches. You must hold within you the thought of wealth so vividly, so definitively, so persistently, that your outer world has no choice but to take shape around it. The common man waits for opportunity. The millionaire creates it in his mind and calls it forth. The average man prays for luck. The man of fortune operates by law, and that law says what you think in combination with burning desire, emotional repetition, and definite purpose becomes your reality. A poor man with a rich mind will soon attract fortune. A rich man with a poor mind will soon lose it. This is not suggestion. It is not optimism. It is not theory. It is law. And it does not change for anyone. True riches cannot exist until they first exist in the mind. You must first become a man of wealth in your identity before you ever see a coin in your pocket. You must believe that riches are your right, that you were not born to scrape, to beg, to wander through life as a servant of wages and interest rates. You were born to think, to decide, to command, and money is simply the obedient servant of the man who understands this. Let me speak now of Andrew Carnegie, the steel magnate who transformed the American industrial landscape. Carnegie did not begin as a man of wealth. He did not inherit gold. He did not stumble into fortune. What he possessed, long before a single business was built, was a mental picture of vast riches, held firmly in his imagination, burned into his mind with desire so strong it silenced doubt. That image governed every step he took, every decision he made, and every opportunity he pursued. He did not wait for permission. He did not ask for luck. He built wealth in his mind first, and by the power of that vision, material wealth came second. You must now do the same. The first tool you need is not capital. It is a definite chief aim. This is the mental blueprint of your financial future. It is not vague. It is not a hope. It is a clearly written statement of what you intend to become, what you intend to earn, and what you intend to give in return. Without this aim, you are like a ship without a rudder, drifting, carried by tide and storm. But with this aim, you become unstoppable. Write your definite chief aim. Write it today. Speak it aloud each morning and each evening. Begin to build the fortune in your thoughts. Picture it in the present tense. Speak it as if it were already yours. Do not be timid. Do not edit it for the comfort of others. Speak boldly. Declare your right to riches, not as a thief demanding what he did not earn, but as a son returning to claim his inheritance from a universe that respects law. Most men fail to become rich because they never declare it. They never fix the thought in their mind. They entertain it, then let it drift away. They wish for riches, but they do not command them. They speak of wealth as if it belonged only to others. They say, if only I had money, rather than, I am building wealth now. And so they remain servants while the men of decision rise to become masters. Do not fall into this trap. Begin today to build your financial house in the mind. Begin to repeat your definite chief aim until it becomes your only option. Let it guide your daily actions, your associations, your reading, your planning. If a thought does not support your aim, discard it. If a habit does not support your aim, replace it. If a man does not support your aim, walk alone until you find one who does. You are not a product of chance. You are not a victim of economy. You are not a beggar. You are a builder, and your building begins with the tools of thought, the tools of desire, the tools of faith. Riches respond to a definite mind, not a desperate one. If you would change your life, you must first change your pattern of thinking. Nothing more, nothing less. So say this aloud and do not whisper it. My riches begin in my mind. I command my attention. I do not hope. I decide. Speak that again. Speak it as a man who means it. Speak it until the old image of yourself breaks and falls away, until the poverty identity crumbles and is replaced by a man who walks with conviction. That man is already in you. You need only awaken him. There will be days when your outer world contradicts your vision. Ignore them. Keep building. There will be moments when doubt creeps in. Silence it with repetition. The man who holds the image, repeats the aim, and persists in the discipline of belief will outlast every obstacle. Wealth will not be able to resist him. You may say, but I have no money. That does not matter. Build the idea, and the idea will build the means. You may say, but I have failed. Then you are ready. The man who has failed but still thinks with definiteness is more powerful than the man who succeeds without direction. So I ask you now, before we go further, have you written your definite chief aim? Have you spoken it aloud today? Have you seen yourself already in possession of the riches you desire? If not, do it now. Do not wait until this speech ends. Do it now, because the mind must be seized while it is awake, and you are awake now. My riches begin in my mind. I command my attention. I do not hope, I decide. This is the beginning of power. This is the mindset of a millionaire. A man's fortune is not built by what he hears. It is built by what he accepts and repeats. The world will feed you 1,000 thoughts before the noon hour strikes. It will offer you opinions, fears, assumptions, and urgencies, none of which are designed to make you rich. If you would think and act like a true millionaire, you must first learn to choose your thoughts with precision, just as a builder selects his tools. The man who entertains every thought is like a man who builds with rotten timber. He wonders why the house collapses, unaware he allowed the material to poison the foundation. Let me be plain. The man who thinks like the masses lives like the masses. And the masses do not live richly. They live reactively. They drift from one opinion to the next, one fear to the next, one piece of gossip to the next. They do not know the law of thought, and so they are ruled by men who do. You must not be one of them. There exists a law, fixed and unchanging, known as controlled attention. This law states that whatever you fix your attention upon consistently and deliberately, your mind will build, your emotions will support, and your actions will pursue. It is the steering wheel of the mind. If you do not seize it, it will be seized by others. And the man who does not control his attention will be directed by every headline, every critic, every negative friend, and every drifting relative with an opinion about your life. And so I tell you now, you must master controlled attention. You must guard the gates of your mind with militant discipline. Let in only what brings clarity, power, and direction. Let in only the words, images, ideas, and beliefs that sharpen your aim and strengthen your persistence. And if anything comes to you that brings doubt, confusion, fear, or hesitation, reject it instantly. Do not allow it to pass through your lips. Do not repeat it. Do not give it shelter in your mind. You must also learn accurate thinking, the discipline of separating facts from opinion, truth from noise, purpose from pressure. The majority of men confuse volume for wisdom. They believe that if something is repeated often enough, it must be true. But repetition does not make something accurate. It makes it accepted, and there is a great difference. Let me give you an example. A man whose name history will never erase, Henry Ford. He was mocked, ridiculed, condemned by the experts of his time. They told him the world did not need automobiles. They said men were content with horses. They said his vision was impractical. But Ford did not listen. He did not drift. He did not borrow thoughts from the crowd. He trusted his own. He obeyed the picture in his mind and ignored the noise around him. And because of that discipline, he changed the transportation of the world and built a fortune that outlived him. No millionaire ever asked the crowd what to believe. No builder of fortune ever said, "Let me hear what the critics say before I proceed." The millionaire mind thinks independently, guided not by consensus, but by purpose. Now I will tell you what few men ever hear. You are not obligated to believe every thought that passes through your mind. Your thoughts are tools. You must decide which to keep and which to cast aside. Begin to ask of every thought, does this empower me or weaken me? Does this serve my aim or distract from it? Does this build my courage or feed my fear? And if the answer does not align with your aim, you must throw the thought out as quickly as you would throw a burning coal from your hand. The man who believes everything he hears is a slave. The man who chooses what to believe becomes a king. This is now your discipline. Refuse to allow one fearful word to dominate your mind before noon. You will begin your morning by speaking your definite chief aim aloud, not with doubt, but with fire. You will affirm your purpose, not your problems. You will read truth, not opinion. And you will feed your mind only that which sharpens your belief and accelerates your action. If a man brings you bad news, you will not repeat it. If you catch yourself speaking doubt, you will correct yourself mid-sentence. If fear tries to rise in your mind, you will command it to be still, and you will answer it with action. This is how a man becomes a millionaire, not by chance, not by luck, but by law, by choosing his thoughts with the same care a banker counts his coins. Now hear this. A man's thoughts are his property, and what he allows in his mental house becomes his legacy. You are not required to share the belief system of the poor, the fearful, the hesitant. You are not required to adopt the language of small men. You are allowed to walk in power, even when others do not understand you. You are allowed to think like a millionaire long before you are called one. And so I give you your command for today. I will no longer borrow thoughts from the crowd. I choose only what builds power. I train my mind to obey my aim. Say it aloud. Say it again. Do not whisper. Let your own voice train your subconscious to stop drifting. From this moment forward, you are not merely reacting to life. You are constructing it, one thought at a time. You must now think as the millionaire thinks, independently, deliberately, purposefully. The average man will say, "That's not realistic." And that is why he remains average. You will say, "If I can hold it in my mind, I can hold it in my hand." And that is why you are different. Controlled attention is now your weapon. Accurate thinking is your shield. Choose your thoughts. Command your mind. And riches will follow as surely as daylight follows the dawn. Poverty is not first a condition of the pocket. It is a condition of the mind. You may believe that you are poor because of your surroundings, your circumstances, or your past. But I tell you now, with the authority of law, poverty begins where fear is allowed to live, and it ends the moment you replace fear with definite thought. A man is not poor because he lacks money. He is poor because he has accepted an identity of lack, of limitation, of littleness. And he repeats that identity daily, not with words alone, but with belief, action, and indecision. The true cause of poverty is not the absence of money, it is the presence of fear, indecision, and doubt. These three form the unholy trinity that binds millions of men to a life they hate and yet refuse to change. It is not the economy that enslaves them. It is their own belief system, unchecked and undisciplined. You must now become the man who breaks that belief and replaces it with law. I have written of the 6 ghosts of fear, And if you are to become wealthy in mind and in reality, you must study them as you would study a thief. Because that is what they are: thieves of vision, thieves of confidence, thieves of wealth. And the two most dangerous among them are fear of poverty and fear of criticism. The fear of poverty is the most widespread. It hides behind thoughts like, I can't afford that, or that's too risky, or people like me don't get rich. It convinces a man to shrink his vision to match his wallet instead of stretching his mind to match his calling. It keeps him circling the same job, the same paycheck, the same limitation, year after year, while whispering that to want more is dangerous, selfish, or unrealistic. Then comes the fear of criticism. This fear ensures that even if a man does dream, he will not speak it, he will not move, he will not begin, for he is too afraid of what others might say. And so he edits his vision to please the poor thinkers around him. He silences himself to fit in with the drifting many. He hides from ridicule, and in doing so hides from success. If you would be free, you must not only reject poverty, you must divorce the identity of lack. You must speak these words aloud until they become your new foundation. I am not bound by fear. I am not a child of poverty. I was born to master money, not to be mastered by it. Say it now. Let your voice be the first sign that the old self is gone. Say it again, louder. This is your declaration of independence, not from people, but from the identity that kept you small. Every wealthy man I have ever studied had one thing in common. Long before he earned his first fortune, he refused to think like the poor. He refused to define himself by his present condition. He rejected the voice that said, "You were not born for wealth," and answered back, "Then I will be reborn in thought, and from that thought I will build my fortune." The cure to poverty is not found in coins. It is found in decision. A man does not have to know all the steps to be rich. He need only decide that he will never again accept a life of mental poverty, that he will never again speak defeat, that he will never again repeat the stories that kept him broke, that he will never again identify with lack. You must now understand that your current financial hardship is not your identity. It is your training. You are not being punished. You are being prepared. The world is asking whether you will bow to fear or rise in decision, and how you answer determines what you will earn. Do not say, "I am broke." Say, "I am building." Do not say, "I am stuck." Say, "I am preparing." Do not say, "I am nothing." Say, "I am a man in command of something great." For as you speak, you plant. And what you plant in your mind, your life will harvest. Let this now be your command. Poverty ends where decision begins. The man who commands his self-image will not live small for long. He cannot. The universe itself will not allow a man of definite belief to remain in limitation. Opportunities will seek him. People will feel his difference. Circumstances will obey him, not because he is lucky, but because he is aligned with law. The law does not favor the wealthy. It favors the obedient. And those who obey the law of thought, the law of decision, the law of belief, will rise regardless of background, education, or environment. You are not the exception. You are the proof if you decide. Do not wait for conditions to improve. Improve your thoughts. Do not wait for people to understand. Begin alone. Do not wait for signs. You have already received one, this very speech. So say it again. I am not bound by fear. I am not a child of poverty. I was born to master money, not to be mastered by it. Let this become your morning declaration. Let it replace every complaint, every excuse, every borrowed belief. Let it be the voice that silences your doubt before the world can speak it. You were not created to live beneath your purpose. You were not made to apologize for wanting more. You were not born to blend into smallness. You are being trained, tested, and refined so that when riches come, as they will, you will know they did not define you. You defined them, And now the decision is yours. Remain in poverty or rise in purpose. Choose now. Choose loudly. Choose finally. There exists a silent power that shapes every man's destiny, and yet few ever acknowledge it. It is not luck. It is not fate. It is not intelligence. It is the silent hand of habit, and it governs your life whether you command it or not. If you are poor, it is because you have built habits that serve poverty. If you are rich, it is because your habits serve wealth. And if you would transform your financial condition, you must begin not with your income, but with your daily behavior. The millionaire is not made by a moment. He is made by repeated, deliberate action governed by law. This law is called the law of cosmic habit force. It is the invisible force that takes whatever you do often and makes it part of who you are. It does not question whether your actions are useful or destructive. It only obeys what you repeat. If you repeat delay, it builds procrastination into your identity. If you repeat fear, it embeds doubt into your movement. But if you repeat bold action, clear thought, focused work, then it engraves power into your soul. The millionaire does not work harder. He works intentionally. He does not leave his success to chance or to emotion. His habits carry him when motivation fails. His routine is not a prison, it is a path. He wakes on purpose. He reads for growth. He plans for execution. He surrounds himself with people and words that reflect his vision, not his weakness. His day is a system, not a gamble. And because of that, his results are predictable. Now let me remind you of one of the greatest minds history has ever known, Thomas Edison. He was not made in a moment of genius. He was made in thousands of hours of consistent, repetitive, focused work. 10,000 attempts, 10,000 trials, 10,000 failures, and still he persisted. Why? Because habit was his ally. He did not wait for inspiration to strike. He commanded his own energy through the power of routine. The world remembers him not because of his flashes of brilliance, but because he lived by principle, not preference. You must now build habits that support riches. Your morning must no longer belong to confusion, delay, or weakness. It must belong to discipline. Each day, begin with these instructions. Speak your definite chief aim aloud with intensity. Read something that sharpens your vision. Write your priorities with purpose. Work on your craft with focused energy before the world speaks distraction into you. Reflect in silence. Pray with faith. Move with decision. And protect your time as the sacred soil in which wealth will grow. Beware the rituals that lead to ruin. Idle conversation, aimless wandering, gossip and criticism. These are the unconscious habits of the poor. These are not just wasteful, they are poisonous. They shape your attitude, weaken your belief, and blind you to opportunity. A man becomes what he repeats, and repetition is not reserved for greatness. Failure is also the result of habit. The man who watches instead of works, the man who postpones instead of decides, the man who talks of ideas but acts on none, these are not victims. They are followers of a habit force they never challenged. You are not that man. You must now say aloud, I am a man of intention. My habits build my wealth. I repeat what is required until I become it. Say it again. Speak it with command. Speak it until your mind remembers it when you wake and echoes it before you sleep. This is no longer motivation. This is reprogramming. This is the construction of a new identity, one action at a time. Your life is not changed by grand gestures. It is changed by the consistency of your obedience. If you rise each morning and speak truth and write with clarity and act with boldness, then wealth is not a possibility. It is a certainty. You will not need to beg for opportunity. You will become opportunity. Let this be your map. When in doubt, return to your habits. When discouraged, examine your rituals. When confused, ask, what have I repeated today? And the answer will reveal your direction. The subconscious does not respond to scattered effort. It responds to pattern. Show it who you are by showing it what you do daily. I repeat, wealth does not come by accident. It comes by obedience to habit. If today your results are small, do not curse the seed. Examine the soil, examine the pattern, and change it. Not once, not for a week, but until your new pattern becomes your only way of living. You are not weak, you are untrained, you are not undisciplined, you are unaligned. But that ends today. Today you install wealth-building rituals. Today you command your behavior with clarity. Today you begin to walk like the man you wrote down in your definite chief aim. Now speak again. I am a man of intention. My habits build my wealth. I repeat what is required until I become it. And then prove it every day without fail, until the world has no choice but to call you rich, not because of what you possess, but because of who you have become. There are two types of men in this world, the man who waits and the man who moves. And I will tell you now, without hesitation, it is the man who moves who commands fortune. The man who waits prays for change, but never touches it. The man who moves seizes the unseen and shapes the formless. Riches are not drawn to hesitation. They are drawn to decision. They do not serve the cautious. They obey the bold. If you would think and act like a true millionaire, then you must train yourself to move with speed, speak with clarity, and decide with firmness. This is the law of decision and initiative. You do not need to know everything to begin. You need only to begin. The world has been delayed by thinkers who never act and actors who never think. But the men who rise above all others are those who think with purpose and act with courage. They do not wait for the perfect time. They create it. They do not ask for permission. They give themselves the order and obey it. And they do not explain their boldness to the weak. They simply produce results. Let us look to the life of Charles M. Schwab, the man who rose from humble beginnings to become the steel king of America. Schwab was not the richest man in the room when opportunity struck. He was not the oldest. He was not the most experienced. But he was the most decisive. He took action. He offered value.